Good morning and welcome to the Zoom service of UUCC, Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. UUCC is a congregation that fosters personal and spiritual growth through religious exploration in search for the truth while celebrating diversity and affirming the worth and dignity of every person. We are glad that you're joining us today. My name is Thomas Lyon, and I'm going to be your worship associate for this morning. For today, we are very excited to introduce our guest minister, Reverend Suzanne Frowley, and extend a thanks to her and her son, Max, for providing the gathering music today. Next Sunday, February 6th, we will plan to worship together inside the church, and we'll also do a live stream to YouTube. You can also gather on Zoom for any who are unable to join us in person. Please RSVP online using the link emailed through the church account if you would like to attend in person. We ask that anyone attending in person be fully vaccinated and if they are eligible, including boosters. And please wear a well-fitted surgical mask or a K95 mask and sit in pods with the people you came. We're now going to enter a space for worship. All right, please follow along as I read the chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
Good morning, everyone. I can see faces that I have not seen in a while, old friends from Canandaigua. So nice to see you on our video. And so to start, I would like to share this poem by Dana Gioia. Let other mornings honor the miraculous. Eternity has festivals enough. This is the feast of our morality, the most mundane and human holiday. The new year always brings us what we want, simply by bringing us along. To see a calendar with every day uncrossed, a field of snow without a single footprint. And these are the words of poet Dana Gioia. And now I invite you to join as Bill leads us in our song, Simple Gifts, number 16 in the hymn book. Thank you, Bill. That was lovely. And I misspoke. The title of that song is "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple," not Simple Gifts. So my apologies. This morning for our children's story, I'm actually going to a poem that I learned when I was in elementary school, maybe some of you as well. And it seems very fitting for our theme this morning. So hopefully any young folk who are with us as well will enjoy this. This is a poem by Robert Frost entitled "The Road Not Taken." Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for the passing there, had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no steps had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. The words of Robert Frost in "The Road Not Taken."
We are a community that holds one another in our celebrations and in our pain. Please share your joys and sorrows in the chat box in Zoom, and know that whatever is on your heart, we are with you. For the joys and sorrows shared and those held in our hearts, know that we are with you. We especially want to recall what is shared today. Family members and individuals continuing to struggle with the ongoing COVID epidemic, attending the Met Opera, individuals struggling with alcohol and substance abuse, a friend having surgery, and a brief respite from the cold weather later this week. For all those shared, we hold these as the biggest feelings in our hearts.
Now is the time in our service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts support the church in its work. If you would like to give to this morning's offering, you can give online at canandaiguauu.org/connect/donate or physically by mailing a check to the church. In either case, note if you'd like your gift to go toward the Sunday offering or your pledge. We'll share 25% of our monthly Sunday offerings with our service partner chosen by Team 6 for the Frozen season, Metro Justice, an organization that seeks a better, more just world free of economic, racial, and social injustice.
So we take a moment to breathe in and breathe out. If you are near a window or just using your memories of winter, look out or think about the snow that has fallen on our lands, that beautiful white blanket that brings so much into our lives. Breathe in and allow yourself to feel that place in the cycles of the seasons where you know that life is slumbering and waiting for what will come next. We are the same. We go through slumber and we have time where we build our energies to work to that next cycle, that next thing that is going to come into our worlds. So be at peace, be well, and look at the snow and be blanketed by love.
Of
places or people, especially those in Buffalo, New York, talk about winter as sweet. It is cold, barren, miserable, and dangerous to some. To some, it is white powder skiing, adventurous, ice gliding, snow person building. To many, it is a time of retreat, hibernation, hunkering down, and waiting till sweet spring. But winter, sweet winter, is a time not always recognized for its purpose and place in the cycle of seasons. Granted, it's everything that we've already mentioned, but in the womb of Mother Earth, life is preparing for its emergence come spring. And winter, sweet winter, offers things directly apportioned to its existence. Sweet winter brings a quiet that is only possible from a white blanket of snow. There is nothing like walking on a snowy night, feet crunching in the snow, and every sound is cushioned. There is no other season that offers this, an amazing quietness that can only be found in sweet winter. It is a sensory experience that is amazing and astounding and a joy to experience. Robert Louis Stevenson wrote a wonderful poem about winter as well, and I want to read it to you this morning. He writes, "Late lies the wintry sun abed, a frosty, fiery, sleepy head blinks but an hour or two, and then a blood-red orange sets again. Before the stars have left the skies, at morning in the dark I rise, and shivering in my nakedness, by the cold candle bathe and dress. Close by the jolly fire I sit, to warm my frozen bones a bit, or with a reindeer sled explore the colder counties round the door. When to go out, my nurse doth wrap me in my comforter and cap. The cold wind burns my face and blows its frosty pepper up my nose. Black are my steps on silver sod, thick blows my frosty breath abroad, and tree and house and hill and lake are frosted like a wedding cake." There is art in sweet winter. Robert Louis Stevenson's words take us to some mindful places, perhaps remembering when we've walked in that snow, perhaps remembering that feeling when the temperature is so low, you literally feel it move up your nose into your nostrils. It is unique. There are also beautiful individual snowflakes that create the arcs and swirls upon the landscape, and crystal reflective icicles accessorize homes and buildings and cars. Young children, in fact, even some older children, enjoy breaking them off and licking them, or creating ice forts with the pointy sticks up as a forebodingness about the perimeter of that fort. As a kid, I remember what a joy it was to blow air out of my mouth, creating smoke or clouds. And it still gives me a fun childhood high to do that. All of these things occurring while the days are shorter, light is less, and darkness comes earlier. Winter brings many changes to the world around it. During winter, some animals migrate, which means moving to another area for a season's time. And humans who are snowbirds do that just as well. Usually, like humans, animals go south for warmer areas during the winter. But migration isn't just about staying warm. Animals can be forced out of their normal habitat because of changes to their food supply and introduction of new bacteria or viruses due to changes in climate, where they may have poor resistance. Other animals begin a period of hibernation during the winter, passing much of the season in a near sleep state. I have teenagers who are trying to do this in my home, but that's another story. Because many plants die or are dormant, animals may stockpile food to help them through this period of want. And in addition to changing their locations and their habits, some animals may also change their appearance. Animals such as hares and foxes may change their coloration to blend into snowy landscapes better. For example, the snowshoe hare is brown during the warm months, but then turns white to blend in with the snow. Other animals may grow thicker fur to help them to stay warm. And humans are like this as well. Some grow hair or beards or add inches to their body for a variety of reasons, but all is about moving through that time of winter. There are some quotes I'd like to share with you this morning that also speak to this aspect of sweet winter. This is from William Shakespeare. Now is the winter of our discontent. Victor Hugo writes, laughter is the sun that drives winter from our human face. Sinclair Lewis wrote, winter is not a season, it's an occupation. Edith Stilwell wrote, winter is the time for comfort, for good food and warmth, for the touch of a friendly hand, and for a talk beside the fire. It is a time for home. And John Steinbeck, I think I like this one best of all. What good is the warmth of summer without the cold of winter to give it sweetness? Winter is not a void or a placeholder for other seasons. Its gifts allow for humans and animals and plants to move from one aspect of being to another. And I kept thinking about that. I kept reflecting on how does that relate to us and our spiritual seasons? And we have those. Times our faith is fully in bloom, and times also that we are tucked in and embracing a warmth from the divine spirit that helps to inform us. I tend to spend a lot more wintertime indoors as I'm getting older, often planning sermons and activities for other times of the church. But this year, I am trying to be very intentional about embracing winter. As a child, I was the first one to grab my skates and run to the pond, or to cross-country ski, or to snowshoe out into the woods. But as I'm older, those are not the activities that I'm embracing. But I take time every single day intentionally to sit on my porch or stand outside. I like it best when I do it at night because the streetlights, especially how they cast their hue on either snowflakes or the fallen snow, just creates an aura that brings in a spirituality to me that I can't find any other time. But my going outside, my intentionality is about embracing all that winter is about. I breathe in that cold air, which I also hear helps if you have dry sinuses, but I feel what it is. I feel what my skin on my face is like, especially when we have those bitter wind chill days. And I take time to look at my front yard. I often sit out there and other times enjoy watching the squirrels, the people who go by walking their animals. But in winter, there is a whole other framing that occurs that I get to watch. And I find it amazing. What I want to focus on most is the intentionality of how we approach, whether it's winter or whether it's our spiritual aspects. It can seem in the winter that we are tucked in, that we are just holding on, that we are preparing for something else. But a congregant in another church told me about an intentionality that they did that helped to change what had been mundane or even boring or something they didn't even look forward to. She shared that she would look at the mound of dishes in her kitchen and think, oh, one more task. And I can agree with that because I look at mine often and think, oh, why don't we just eat on paper plates? That's not environmentally sound. And she said what changed is one day she looked at those dishes and said, I am going to use intentionality in how I do this. And she prepared to do the dish cleaning. But in her mind, she did sort of a prayer, as we do with UUs, because it's not always a written prayer or a rote prayer, but sometimes it's just a meditative thinking. And in her mind, she kept being thankful. Every plate represented food that she was able to give to her family. It represented gratefulness that her family was able to receive that food, that they could be together for the meal, and that she had the privilege of bringing this together. And as she would intentionally think about those dishes, she found that the task of washing them went a lot quicker. And she actually started to look forward to that task at the end of meals to take her into that intentional moment of spirituality, of gratitude. And thinking about that story, I found myself in that same place when I would just walk out my door, just look out on my porch. Doesn't have to take a lot of time, doesn't have to be very rigid, but taking a moment to just experience in a space or a place that is comfortable, safe, and feels giving to you can help in the sweet winter to feel what might have otherwise felt like dormant spirituality time. And we certainly have an abundance of opportunities, especially when our seasons change so often, snow, rain, ice, brown. But it reminds us again of those movements that we take place every single day in our communities, with our families, and with others in the world. I like this. And again, as I've mentioned, I think what I liked most is the quietness. The cold, that's always a challenge. When I was in seminary in Chicago, there was a saying that used to go around, especially about the weather and the wind chills that would come off of Lake Michigan, which even being from Buffalo, I have to say, they were bitter and awful. And what people would say about it was, this is God hates your face cold. I don't really think God or Spirit of Life hates our faces. But I got to tell you, the biting pluck that would come to our skin did receive a lot of reactions and a lot of reflection, especially about why it was worthwhile. For me, it was being able to walk down South Michigan Avenue and get to seminary. But every day now, we have an opportunity to think about, what is this sweet winter time giving to us? What gifts have we overlooked because we are boxed into other thinking? Sweet winter is worthwhile. It offers enjoyment for those who venture out into it, or for those who just like to watch it from a window. It is a fertile, protective time for the earth's gestation. It is the yin to the yang of summer. It is a time for retrospection and for anticipation. It's all about how we view it, how you avoid it or embrace it, how it holds wonders and treats. Later this week, we're all supposed to get some snow. If you get a chance, go out and scoop up some of that fresh snow. Maybe put some flavored syrup on it. As a child, that was something we did often, and with acknowledgments from my mother to stay away from the yellow snow. You know what I'm talking about. But again, it's finding actions. It's finding things that are for you. And whether it's the enjoyment of sweet winter in the seasonal aspect, or it's taking that time to realize that winter is also a place where we can review and be intentional about our spiritual thoughts or actions, that will give us much to enjoy. Because there is so much to be learned. There's so much to have. It's just about adjusting our thinking to it being a sweet, sweet winter. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. That was just lovely. Let me share with you these words for our benediction. They come from Rabbi Tevzi Freeman, and he writes, "The times in which our generation lives are not ordinary times. We dwell on the interface between two worlds, a world as it was and a world as it is meant to be. Everything is in place. All the infrastructure to bind the world together as one, the technology by which all of humanity can share deep wisdom, all that is needed so that the secrets of oneness can be grasped by the human mind. The stage is set. All that's left is for us to open our eyes." These are the words of Rabbi Tevzi Freeman. And now we are going to move to our closing hymn, number 46, "Now the Day is Over."
Now the day is over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening steal across the sky. Now the leafless landscape settles in repose, waiting for the quiet until the rising of another spring. Keeps the ancient promise, fall and winter bring.
Please join me in the closing, extinguishing the flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you, Susan, Max, and all of you for joining us this morning for worship. We invite you to stay for our virtual coffee hour. You'll see an invitation to join us in breakout rooms show up on your screen, and